the Dogman of Highway 77. Hello, creatures of the night. Tonight, I bring you a tale that will make you think twice about driving those lonely Kentucky back roads in the early morning hours. This story comes from a trucker named Dale, who swears it happened to him just last month at the intersection of Highway 77 and Highway 64, deep in the heart of Kentucky's wilderness. Dale had been driving the same route for 15 years. He knew every curve, every hill, every pothole between Louisville and Lexington. But what he encountered that foggy October morning at 3:47 a.m. would change everything he thought he knew about those familiar roads. The fog had rolled in thick that night, the kind that swallows headlights and makes the world feel like it's closing in around you. Dale was running behind schedule, his 18-wheeler loaded with auto parts destined for a factory in Frankfurt. The radio crackled with static, the only sound besides the diesel engine's steady rumble. As he approached the intersection where Highway 77 meets Highway 64, Dale noticed something odd. His headlights caught what looked like a figure standing on the shoulder, just beyond the tree line. At first, he thought it might be a stranded motorist, maybe someone whose car had broken down in the fog. But as he got closer, the hair on the back of his neck began to stand up. The figure was tall, impossibly tall, easily 7 feet or more. It stood on two legs like a man, but its proportions were all wrong. The torso was too broad, the arms too long, hanging almost to its knees. And the head was wrong in ways that made Dale's hands tighten on the steering wheel. It was the head of a massive dog, or wolf, with pointed ears that twitched at the sound of the approaching truck. Even through the fog and darkness, Dale could see the thing's eyes, two burning amber orbs that reflected his headlights like mirrors. Dale tried to convince himself it was just a trick of the fog, maybe a sign or a tree stump that looked like something else in the poor visibility. But then the creature turned its head to track his truck as he passed, and Dale caught a glimpse of its muzzle, long and filled with teeth that gleamed white in the headlight beam. He pressed harder on the accelerator, his heart hammering against his ribs. In his side mirror, he watched the creature step out onto the asphalt, still watching his truck disappear into the fog. For a moment, Dale thought he was in the clear. Then he heard the howl. It started low, like the sound of wind through a cave, but grew louder and more intense until it seemed to shake the very cab of his truck. It wasn't the howl of any dog or wolf Dale had ever heard. It was something deeper, more primal, carrying notes of intelligence and malice that made his blood run cold. Dale kept driving, mile after mile, checking his mirrors obsessively. The fog began to thin as he put distance between himself and that cursed intersection. But the feeling of being watched never left him. It wasn't until he stopped at a truck stop in Frankfurt 3 hours later that Dale noticed the scratches. 4 parallel gouges ran along the side of his trailer, each one as wide as a man's finger and deep enough to scrape through the paint to the metal beneath. They started about 7 feet off the ground and ran for nearly 10 feet along the trailer's length, as if something had been running alongside his truck and dragging its claws across the surface. Dale never reported what he saw that night. Who would believe him? But he did change his route. Now he takes the long way around, adding an extra hour to his drive just to avoid that intersection where Highway 77 meets Highway 64. Because sometimes in the early morning hours when the fog rolls in thick and the world feels like it's holding its breath, there are things walking the Kentucky back roads that were never meant to be seen by human eyes. And if you find yourself driving through that area in the pre-dawn darkness, keep your doors locked, your windows up, and whatever you do, don't stop if you see something standing by the side of the road. Some things are better left undisturbed in the mist. Sweet dreams, my dark listeners. And remember, not everything that walks on 2 legs is human.